For painting my roses red, someone will lose their head.
As you walked along the neat shining path, you had begun to wonder if going to the Queen of Hearts was such a good idea. After all, she wasn't the most stable of characters. But before you had time to turn around and rethink it, two figures surprised you. From the red and white stone path came two living guards. You remember them in the story. And just like that, you were quickly approached by the guards and stopped in your tracks.
Halt!
Silver spears are pointed at your heart and you froze, staring at the guards with round, frightened eyes.
State your name and business.
They snapped in cold, hard voices.
You say you don't have any business and you're lost.
The guards glanced at each other, neither lowering the weapons that were simply too close to your heart, which was now beating wildly.
And who gave you permission to be lost? What in Wonderland does he mean? I mean your orders. Who told you that you may go and get lost?
The second guard snapped, looking at her friend. Such a silly thing, she muttered.
No one gave you permission? You just got lost.
The guards seemed aghast at your words, baffled expressions coming across their faces. Slack-jawed and wide-eyed, they each lowered their weapons a little bit. They looked at each other and then back at you.
You mean...
You just... Spears were up in a second, and the guards both snapped.
Come with us. The Queen will know what to do with you.
Each guard reached out and grasped your arm, taking a tight hold on you and stomping off down the path. You were still so terribly confused, but you didn't fight them. After all, what were you supposed to do? They had weapons and you had nothing. They knew the path and you were lost. You were trapped in this world and left with nothing but confusion and questions. So, through Wonderland you were dragged until you came across something new. A castle. It was shining and silver, decorated with red rubies and black and white diamonds. All heart-shaped, of course. Red flags waving from the twisted towers. All along it was an elegant garden, full of fountains and roses, all bright red and beautiful. The Queen of Hearts castle. You were dragged inside, the guards still looking at you as if you were the strangest thing in all of Wonderland. Through the elegant halls you went, passing through scarlet doors and glowing torches. All around you, men and women dressed in red silk and black frills walked around, only to stop and stare at you as you were led away. They whispered softly, staring and pointing as you were brought to a pair of giant golden doors. At a command, the guards posted on either side of the door opened it, and you were shoved inside. Tumbling to the ground, the doors closed with a slam and a rush of cold air, and you looked around as you stood up. The room, you realized, was a throne room, golden and glimmering with tiny red and black hearts hanging down from the high ceiling. A plush red carpet was rolled out in front of you, leading you to a shining throne room. And a woman. The Queen. She was a tall, thin Asian woman with long black hair, a golden crown propped upon her dark curls and neat makeup, red heart-shaped lips, painted cheeks, neat eyeliner, and a little black heart painted beneath her left eye. Red gowns billowed around her elegantly, her dress decorated with black hearts and a high white frill half around her head. At first, she wore a bored expression, twirling a ruby-covered scepter absent-mindedly. But when she saw you stand up in front of her, heart-shaped lips suddenly spread into a wide, excited smile. Her black eyes grew bright, and she leaned forward, motioning you closer with her long, ruby-red nails.
Oh, come here, dear!
Slowly, you approached the Queen until you were at the foot of her glimmering throne, looking up at her. With her skirts swishing around her, she quickly walked down a set of velvet-covered stairs and reached out for you, grabbing you with her tiny hands. The Queen excitedly turned you about, taking a good look at you and mumbling to herself as you tried to ask her questions.
I can see the cards brought you here.
Oh, don't bother with them. Silly cards they are.
I cannot stand them. Yes, whatever you want, dear.
No, you are not lost. She stopped spinning you, taking hold of your shoulders and looking you right in the eyes. You are home, Alice. And just like that, she was taking your hand and dragging you off, talking over you as she did. It seemed as though the Queen just didn't care what you had to say. She treated your every word as though it was the silliest thing she'd ever heard. as though you were just a funny little deer that amused her so. "I'm so glad you're back, Alice. I've been the most foulest of tempers since you left. Just awful. But of course, you really can't blame me. If people are going to go around annoying me, then I'm just going to have to annoy them back. It's their own fault they lost their heads." Oh yes, there's nothing more annoying than losing one's head. It's simply fair." You'd been so shocked by her demeanor that you hadn't realized she was pulling you along through the halls, only to stop at a pretty pink door. From the golden heart pinned to her gown, she produced a tiny, teeny, shiny key and pressed it into the lock. You shyly asked her what was going on, unable to hide the quiver in your voice. The Queen looked up, looking more than annoyed as her dark eyes glimmered angrily. "Oh, of course. You've gone and forgotten again. Honestly, Alice, what's the point of having a head if you never bother to use it? I'd have half a mind to lop it off, but—" She stopped, suddenly thinking, "No, I won't do that again. Not if you behave." Again? Had there been another Alice? Had the Queen killed them? Could she kill you? Suddenly afraid of the tall, pretty woman, you backed away, only for her to reach out and grab your arm in an iron grip. "Alice?" she said in a tense voice. "I'm not in the mood for your games. Play nicely, or I shall punish you, dear." She spoke as if you were a disobedient child, not someone she'd basically kidnapped and threatened. But would she go through with her threats? You quickly realized that you were faced with only two options: play along and please the Queen, or refuse her. You got the idea that she was just as crazy and emotional as she'd been in the story, if not worse. And the thought of another Alice's head certainly made you feel sicker and sicker by the moment. Fear twisted up in your belly as you wondered what you might do, what she might do. Follow the Queen's command, or refuse to listen. There are two endings to this. I'll leave the link in the description and the pinned comment when they are ready.